Hey everyone, this is Nick from Mecha Warehouse, and today we're back with weekly update number 63. So let's jump right into it. We'll start off with week in review. This is where I talk about what happened this week, things that are coming up, things like that. And I guess I'll start off by talking about the ice storm kind of thing that we had on Wednesday. Thankfully, it didn't really affect operations too much, but New Hampshire had probably the worst. I don't even know what to really call it. It wasn't really an ice storm per se. I guess it was like freezing rain or something that we've had, in my recollection anyway. Basically, the rain was freezing the moment it hit the road surface. My commute was like at least double what it normally would be. I passed, I don't know how many accidents, a lot of people giving up on the road and just pulling off to wait. I definitely was following a pickup truck that was going down the highway sideways for a little while. Good stuff like that. And it ended up, I think, of that like doubled commute, about 15 minutes of it was the part from where I could see the warehouse to where I got into the warehouse parking lot. Like I could have walked, and I was thinking about it a lot. There were just trucks pulled off to the side of the road, narrow way to go through. Everybody was kind of skittish. And so the only reason I really bring that up is because it did affect things slightly. Orion wasn't able to make it in. He got probably like halfway, and he still had more time left than his normal commute. When I was like, don't bother coming in because it's only going to get worse as you get closer. And we try to avoid that and avoid him getting in an accident or something on the way. So I ended up packing orders. I ended up not packing them until the afternoon, where we would have normally probably started on them earlier in the day, which means that some orders that might have been packed and ready to go and gone out the door yesterday really are going to go out the door today when the post office picks up, for example. So I apologize for that. It was kind of out of our control. It made for a busy day. Got less done yesterday than I had planned on getting done, but it was interesting, and thankfully nobody, at least nobody I know, got hurt. It was definitely a really sketchy day. Second subject for today, though, is Instagram stickers. So we now have on Giphy, which is the service that lets you pull stickers in. I think on Instagram, I think on TikTok too. Actually, there's we've got some of the Mecha Warehouse logos and Blue 01 and a few other Mecha Warehouse images now available to pull into your stories and stuff like that. So if you search for Mecha, I think they actually show up if you search Gundam and Gunpla as well. Be really cool if you want to use those. We plan on adding more over the coming weeks and months, and it's really kind of cool to see our stuff like available if you just type in something on Instagram in order to throw it into a story. Just, I don't know, great work, Santana, for even thinking about being able to do that and then executing on it. Is really cool. And then finally, we'll get into it in more depth when we get into the restocks in a moment. But I'm starting the process of trying to increase the product lines that we carry, trying to add more products, especially tools and supplies and things like that we don't currently have in stock. We haven't been even looking at really. And the first set is going to be up today, or the day you watch this, I guess, for restocks. And that first set is all some airbrush stuff. We got a few brands. We got a couple airbrushes from Tamiya, an airbrush from Badger. We got some related tools and compressor airbrush sets from Vigiart. I think that's how you pronounce it. So a lot of good stuff. We'll talk about that in a moment in restocks. We'll be looking at things like plot plate soon, some other paint lines, and just increasing all those other options gradually over the coming months, as that's one of my goals for the year, and I'm really looking forward to it. If you have any suggestions for brands, especially like airbrush, I want to try to get Wada in, Master. I know Mr. Hobby makes some airbrush stuff as well. We'll be looking at that stuff, and feel free to send me a note or post down in the comments if there's anything that you would like to see, and I'll put it on my list for consideration as I start trying to expand our offerings. So that's basically it for week in review this week. So I'm going to jump over and just start talking about restocks. So As I said, we got a bunch of airbrushing stuff in. We can start off with the Tamiya stuff. We're carrying now two different airbrushes from Tamiya. One is the Sparmax airbrush. It's a double action airbrush, meaning that lever, the trigger, you push down and back. Two different actions. One gets airflow, the other releases paint. Another airbrush, another double action, the Airbrush 3, super fine. It has HG in the name, so I presume you can only use it for high-grade kits. So we got that. We also have the airbrush cleaning kit from Tamiya. It's got some sealant and some grease, as well as a little brush and a nozzle wrench tool. I imagine this is probably optimized for the Tamiya airbrushes. Might be worth consideration, as well as the Tamiya airbrush filter. And this is, I believe, the water moisture trap, essentially, I think. Yeah, moisture and dust from air supply from the compressor. So this helps saves your airbrush from any moisture that gets in the lines. A lot of good airbrushes will come with one, and it's worthy for consideration, I think, especially if you have issues with that. Next up, we can talk about Badger. We've got the Badger, I think it's the Patriot, airbrush model 105. The box is really cool, but I can't see the airbrush itself. I believe this is another double action. I think double actions are pretty common for model stuff. I think that's a fairly popular airbrush. We also got the Badger Needle Juice, which I think is some sort of airbrush lubricant. Don't say it 3 times fast, though. We don't want to know what happens. And then finally, we got a few things from Vigiart. We got airbrush cleaning pot. So this is, I'm actually snagging one of these myself. You can basically spray into it rather than just spray out into the open when you're trying to, spray cleaners and stuff through your airbrush, but it also doubles as a stand. We also have 2 compressor airbrush sets that have the HS30 airbrush from Vigiart plus this compressor. One of them is a tankless compressor, and then the other is the full one with the tank. My personal recommendation, as somebody who's done a little bit of painting, is to use the one with the tank, because the tankless is going to have to run all the time. It's going to be noisier and stuff like that, but it is less expensive, and that trade-off, I guess, is something that you get to consider. We have we've got we restocked some K18 knives from Excel. We've got some of the other colors in stock. We've got the red ones back in stock, so if you're looking for a solid hobby knife. And then we got a few kits. I'm not going to mention all the kits that we got in. We got a good combination of stuff, a lot of them not in high quantities, because a lot of these came from our secondary supplier where we get a lot of our tools from, and they've got some limits on what we can get in terms of quantity, but I'll mention the ones that have good stock. Number 1, the Sengoku armor set from 30 Minute Missions. These seem to be pretty popular. Some really cool stuff with that. We do have the weapon sets in stock currently. We got some more 30 Minute Sisters Rashetta, so worth a look if you missed them when we had them before. We got some high-grade Cybasters. So we had these a ways back. We've sold out of them probably a couple times now. Fairly, I don't want to say super popular, but it's kind of an interesting kit, and definitely got some unique design elements. So worth a look. And then we also got a handful more of the Big Tony from Sakugan, and I think we might be sold out at this point, or we've had very few as of the restock starting. So worth a grab. I'm seriously considering grabbing one. I wasn't going to when we got them in initially because we didn't get that many in, but there's a few damaged ones. I might have to snag one off the cart. Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud. But that's all we got for restocks this week. Oh yeah, and we also have splash paint that arrived yesterday and we'll be checking in today, hopefully. So if you want airbrush ready paint that doesn't need to be thinned, worth taking a look. We should be well stocked as of today when you are seeing this. So with all that said, let's move on to Q&A now. So Q&A, that's the part of the video where I answer questions from you, the viewer. If you have a question you would like answered, whether about Mecha Warehouse, myself, Gunpla, whatever, please ask me questions. We didn't get that many this time. Post it down in the comments below. I'll try to answer it next week. And yeah, let's get into it. So the first one is from Tom Liu. Just curious if the Windblade pre-order is coming in anytime. Unfortunately, I don't have really updated information until something ships from our supplier. Sometimes I can go ask. There are usually a ton of pre-orders that are delayed at any given time. And short of asking my supplier every week and bugging my account rep and making her do a lot of legwork, I don't really get any updates on them. So last I was aware, they're still on order. I think the last Flame Toys pre-order before that, which was the Rodimus, I believe, ended up delayed by a few months. So I imagine this is probably in the same boat. I know that they're on the way. I just don't know when they'll arrive with any sort of added certainty. Wish I had more information on that, but they will be coming. And once we see them ship, they'll be up on incoming on the Discord. Okay. Next, we got two questions that were very similar. Lanikin Malachite, who is this sassy child and where did Nick go? And Pat T. Kakes, who's this guy, Nick's brother? Very funny, guys, very funny. It's coming back in. It's, a week and change, and I'm at least at a solid 5 o'clock shadow. So another couple weeks and you'll recognize me again. I promise. And then finally, not a question someone asked last week, but a question we've been getting somewhere between 2 and 15 times a day. Any update on the Master Grade Virtue? And the short answer is no. Like the other ones, we don't get updates on when things ship. We know that the Master Grade Virtue was released in Japan and became available late November. Presumably, it's about a month on the ship until it gets here. They have to unload it from the ship. A lot of the ships are waiting weeks before they actually get unloaded because of the current world shipping situation. And then it's got to get unloaded at Bluefin, packed up and shipped to us. As of 9:40 a.m. on Thursday the 6th, it has not been shipped from Bluefin. I don't know if it's on a boat, if it's on the dock, if it's at Bluefin yet. Presumably, because I don't think I've seen any U.S. retailers have them yet. They're probably still either on the boat or being unloaded. Hopefully we'll get an update soon. But until then, no update. We will definitely let the world know when they arrive, so you don't have to ask us that question every day, all day. I mean, you're welcome to, but please don't. And I think that's all I have for questions this week. So like I said before, if you have a question you want answered, post it down in the comments below so I can answer it next week for you. And see you next time.